What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Run Your Mouth Podcast. You guys can let me know if I actually have sound on today. We had a pretty epic fail yesterday. Normally, I have all sorts of fail safes in place to make sure that I don't do a half hour just to myself and my neighbors. And it's mostly I view the comments and people tell me if the sound's on, not on. But yesterday, I was flowing. I was channeling the wisdom of the universe. Words were coming out of my mouth, and I was in the back of my head just thinking, man, I'm really getting my points across today. I don't want to look at those comments. I don't want to check nothing. I want to make sure that I just channel this antenna that's on and focused with the universe and get it direct to the people. And so we did about a half hour with no sound on. But today, we got a full episode coming at you. It's actually yesterday's episode. We're rehashing yesterday's episode. We'll see how we'll do. And of course, it's brought to you by Yo Kratom, home of the $60 kilo. Because when you have frustrating times like spending a full half hour realizing that you didn't do anything other than talk to yourself and your walls, you want to make sure you got some Kratom on hand. And you know where you get it from? YoKratom.com, the only place you can get an entire kilo for exactly $60. All right, so let's get into some topics. Actually, before we do, come out this Wednesday night. I got my weekly show at Cafe Bohemia. Got a whole bunch of stand-up dates coming out, and for all the people coming up to me after shows saying nice things, I appreciate you. Even if I'm running around trying to grab gear really quick, and it seems like I don't appreciate you, I really like you. So just know that. You come over, you say hello, and I'm like, that guy's a nice guy. He said nice things. This came out that my thank you yesterday was better. No one's gonna ever hear it, but it was a better thank you to the random people that said hello. All right, let's get into some topics. We don't have any sound drops because for some reason my expensive Tascam Mixcast 4 just doesn't work with my computer anymore. And I know there's one guy in the chat who's like, we got tech support. You can just call us. You can just figure this out. We're going. We're going. It's enough complaining about the tech that's not working. Let's get into these topics. What do we got for today? Why consuming plastic might not be enough to give your child a larger dick, and how Coca-Cola might help. So last week we were onto it. Apparently, this is the greatest health claim ever made by the large chemical factories that are producing our foods. Actually, when I was in Buffalo, right next to the comedy club, you had these giant smoke towers. 24/7, they're making Cheerios. The town literally smells like Cheerios. You walk outside, you go, I recognize that sugary smell. And then you just think about how many chemicals, just think about how many boxes of cereal are on every shelf every day that they've got to run a giant factory 24/7 just to make sure that, people are getting their proper doses of sugar. But anyways, people are starting to get onto this stuff. They're realizing just how unhealthy is all the food that we're cranking into our kids, putting on our shelves, drinking soda on a daily basis. The information's starting to get out there, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can we get away with this story? And so you know what their newest claim is? Well, first they started by saying that plastic was going to give you a bigger, longer dick. And so I'm out here every day, right in my smoothie. I just throw a credit card in there. I blend it up. I take that thing down. At some point, I'm going to be seeing my kids, and I'll be like, you can thank your father or grandfather for that at that point. I don't know how many generations down the line it's going to be until my kids get bigger penises, but I'm running those miles. I'm eating that plastic on a daily basis. I am doing my part. And here's what's great about that claim. Am I ever going to actually know if my kids had bigger dicks? I won't know what my kids' dicks were supposed to look like. I mean, I guess I could compare them to mine, but that's pretty weird. What, are you going to have a family get-together? You make each generation pull out their wieners and see if your plastic consumption is working its way down the line and kids are having bigger dicks. You're sitting there at the morning breakfast table and you're like, have you had your proper allotment of plastic? Because, I did my part to make sure that you'd have a bigger wiener. And so you better do the same to pay it forward to your grandkids. I don't want you just blowing this bigger wiener, what do they call it when you got all the money from trust fund? I worked hard for it. And so then Coca-Cola saw that what was going on with the plastic claims and like, oh, we got to get into this too. Because if everyone's going to have bigger, longer dicks, you're going to have bigger balls to match your bigger dick. You don't want to be out there with a big fat rod with thin little nuts unable to support the rod that plastic has given you. And so they're getting ahead of this and they're letting people know, hey, listen, are you sick of consuming all sorts of plastic particles that are giving you a bigger wiener that your balls aren't big enough to support? Well, now thanks to Coca-Cola, you can have bigger, firmer testicles that produce more testosterone. That's the newest thing. It was a New York Post article. All right, what do we got next? With an outbreak of a new drug-resistant stomach bug, will public officials finally get serious about bathroom access? there's like super Shigella or something going on out there. And all sorts of people making diarrhea all over the place, getting super sick. I've never rooted for a virus before because, I'm not calling up my senators. I'm not complaining about bathroom access. IBS is not treated like other ailments. You don't have commissions suing buildings that they don't have better bathrooms. I wish it was. I wish it was considered a disability. And you'd hear speeches from people with irritable bowel syndromes talking about the Disability Acts of America, and you've got 400 restaurant tables in here and only one bathroom, or your bar bathroom doesn't even have a latch on it. You didn't even stock it with toilet paper. How is any reasonable human being supposed to shit in here without having to wipe with their socks and leave it in their trash can? Have you made the proper arrangements for those eating your shitty bar food, smelling your urine smells, and pounding shots of booze that you clearly put into the wrong bottles? I don't feel like you've made proper arrangements for those of us out here with the IBS. We should make the IBS Commission of America. It will roam the landscape, review people's bathrooms, and you can get credited or uncredited. But none of that exists in the world because there aren't enough people out there like me. There actually aren't enough whiny Jew cunts out in the universe. You thought that there were too many whiny Jew cunts. Apparently there aren't enough of us because I'm not the only Jew out there with a rotten stomach complaining every time we use the bathroom. Oh, I think I ate too much. My tummy hurt. My tummy hurt. I can't eat the cheese. I can't eat the cheese. Isn't good for my tummy. I can't eat it. Oh, I can't eat it this hour. It's too late into the evenings. I can't eat. I can't. Oh, I'm about to get on a flight. I shouldn't have that coffee. I can't be the only Jew cunt out there. But for all of the power that us supposed Jew cunts have, everywhere you go, just crummy bathrooms. Roaming the world, just trying to find places that you can comfortably defecate. So anyways, like if the mRNA shots gave people diarrhea, I would have rooted. I would have been the first one getting myself a CNN job to try and get people all mRNA'd up. Sadly, it's just making women's vaginas all bloody and giving people other problems. But you're not allowed to say that on YouTube, except that one factually came out. It was on MSNBC. So I'm not even questioning the science when I report that. If anything, I was just rooting for that there were other things that the mRNA might have came with so that I could have rooted for it. You know what else I'm learning? Maybe we'll start going live in the evenings, because last night when I was live in the evenings, we had like 40 people on this chat. It's not bad. We got 17. That's pretty cool. All right, what else we got? The best CIA soup recipes for those looking to do rectal feeding at home. It was a pretty horrifying article yesterday in the New York Times. I don't read the New York Times all that often. Every once in a while, article comes across my desk, and it may or may not have been factually accurate, because everything that I care about, you read the New York Times coverage, and you're like, okay, this is a load of hooey, so why would I trust them on this one? But apparently, down in Gitmo, they had a nice way of torturing people. You're not formally allowed to torture people, but what you can do is shove things up their ass and pretend like you're feeding them. You can even let the thing sit in their ass for an extra 30 minutes to pretend like it needed the absorption. Now, can you actually scientifically eat through your asshole? I don't think so. Actually, it said in the article that you can't. So, if you don't start shoving things up your ass and thinking that it's more. Although I guess it's more absorbent of nutrients. That's why those kids were shoving tampons up their ass with vodka, because it was 4 times more dense and got you fucked up right away. So why can't I shove vitamins up my ass and then get more absorption? Is that why gay guys are so fit? They're taking protein cum shots right up their asshole, gets super absorbed? Or ladies taking rectal feedings with cum? Because cum, I've never eaten cum, but I feel like I've maybe come across reports that there's good proteins and also electrolytes in there. I don't know if that's factually accurate. I don't know if absorbing cum through your asshole might be a good way of skipping meals and losing weight. Who knows? Maybe we just came up with a new diet. Then that's going to be the next product that I sell. Yo, Kratom, I know you're hanging out with us today. You're off as a sponsor. We're going to replace your sign with the cum diet of America, where you have to try and take at least 3 loads up your ass a day, and you replace 2 meals with loads in your asshole. But according to the scientists in this article, they were not advocating for taking loads in your asshole and trying to absorb electrolytes and proteins that may or may not exist in other people's cum. What they were saying was that it doesn't matter what kind of food you do shove up your asshole, you can't reverse feed yourself, and they were just torturing people. And so while I normally don't believe the New York Times, when I read things such as that they left things in people's assholes to torture them while claiming that it was to aid in colonic absorption. That sounds like a perfect poetic symbolism for everything that America, that's our government in a nutshell. Hey, I'm just trying to help you out here, and that's why I'm going to shove this right up your ass. But this is for your own health. That thing up your asshole is for your own health. Sometimes I read this stuff, and I think it's somewhat horrifying to look at. Every once in a while, you see footage of things that were going on in Gitmo, or you read these articles about things that were going on in Gitmo, and completely horrifying, but I think it's good to know what the U.S. government would do to you if they could. Like, we don't get to see the footage of these January 6 people all locked up in their cells. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, I think it's good to get a little bit of insight in just how evil these people are and how they would treat you if they could actually get away with it. All right, next we got the secret relationship between Trump and McDonald's and the hidden McDonald's ingredients that will keep you youthful. I mean, what is going on with Donald Trump? And, oh, wait a second. You see, this is why I didn't have the chat on yesterday, because I get distracted. But, Yo Come. There you go. That's going to be the next campaign. From, maybe what I'll do is I'll pre-package my cum, and then I can sell it directly to you guys to insert into your assholes, and then you can have proteins. But no women getting pregnant. I don't know how that we're going to police for that. I don't know that you can talk about this on YouTube. You know what? We're going to have to bring this back to the Run Your Mouth production team and really hash out some of the details, because obviously, we just floated it. It's a good concept. I think that there's some baselines in which we can grow and expand based off of the original concept, but obviously we're going to have to tweak this thing in order to make it happen. All right. Last topic of the day, experts explain the information that can be gathered by poking at stuff with a stick or light kicks with the leg. So I enjoyed that we were yelling and screaming, how come Poop Buttigieg isn't going down to this town, smelling the sweet smell of chemicals himself, and actually addressing the situation? Why won't he get down there and check out what's going on? And then you finally see footage of him going to check out what's going on. And he looks like he's the last man on a gay stripping roster. He's got a hat helmet on that's a little bit too big. He's got a yellow vest, which makes no sense. I don't know why you got a yellow vest. What, you got more trains that are going to come through your train site that you might get hit by a train? Why you got to wear a yellow vest when you go after the train already collided with other things? What, do you think that this is now a collision site and more people are just going to try and collide into the area? It's like one collision manifests the next collision. Everyone's like, this is now a location for collisions. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But he's out there. This is Mr. Photo Opportunity. I mean, this is a guy who would fake riding a bicycle to work and go to a hospital to pretend like someone just gave birth to a kid that never... While hospital beds are supposedly in rare supply, while hospitals are overrun, somehow Pete Buttigieg had an opportunity to get into a hospital bed with his male lover so that they could take a picture with the baby that neither of them had in a hospital bed that neither of them were actually in or delivered in. But they wanted to have that special moment. So anyways, you've got this guy, and he goes out to this train site. He's dressed like he's the last man picked on the gay stripping team. He's got his construction uniform that not doing any construction. And then he walks around and, he just kind of kicks. And then they go, there's that thing over there. That's the thing that hit into this. And you realized, why did we all yell at this guy to go take a photo opportunity? What information is actually gotten by walking around? I mean, I guess maybe you can argue that it's easier to ignore these situations if you're not there. Kind of like Biden with the border. Like, why do you got to go down to the border just to see that you ain't doing nothing to control the border, except then they clean it up for the couple days? So if anything, you can go down and go, no, I was there. It's totally fine. I took a look around. I saw everything. This thing is totally working 100% fine. But I don't know. Maybe they teach you classes with the information that can be gathered by poking at something with a stick. Sometimes maybe I just don't understand enough about kicking and poking at things that really you can gather a lot of information about it. All right. Here's our quickies. We were on the road the last couple days, so I didn't screenshot all the articles in, but we do have quite a few topics that we're going to cover. And before we get into it, let me, quick plugs. I got my show every Wednesday night, Cafe Bohemia. Come hang out on the road with Davey Smith. Go to comicdavesmith.com. I'm on all those dates except for Providence. Later this month, I will be, this Saturday night, I'm doing an event for the Free State Project. And then lastly, I will be in Colorado doing two ski dates. Steamboat. Coming out. All right. Blinken's speech on CNN and the buffoonery network. I have a new idea. I've had some really good ideas for how we can fix our country. Here's the absolute two biggest ones. If we just did these two things, I'm sure I've mentioned on the show before, we could have a working country once again. You ready? Government, it's called the Clear Authority Act. If government tells you that you have to do something, they have to tell you under what authority they are able to tell you that you have to do that. And then there has to be repercussions if they lied and they pretended to have authority that they didn't have. Because we got a problem that everyone points to. I never said that. He said that. The other guy said that. There was another guy who said, I never said that. Everyone points fingers at when things go to shit and go, I didn't say that. Oh, I never called up Twitter and told them that they had to take something down. They're very good at the intimidation thing. It's literally the mob. Hey, it would be a good idea if you did this. And everyone goes, shit, the government called me up and said it would be a good idea. We have to ban that shit. No more gray area. No more intimidation from government. No more cops coming up to you and going, hey, do you mind opening up your door? Do you mind showing me your pockets? No. Anytime you have any interaction with any government official, law agency, EPA, the people checking your restaurant, any government individual in any capacity at any given juncture in time, they have to tell you to do something. They can't request. They can't make a recommendation. They can't interact with you in a gray area in any capacity whatsoever. They need to tell you that you have to do something, and it's got to be under this authority. And then if it turns out that they didn't have that authority, there needs to be repercussions for them lying to you or trying to exert authority that they didn't have. If we could get rid of the legal gray area that government exists in just to intimidate us into action, where every single government agency can point to the other one and say, well, they were the ones who said that. They were the ones that said that. That came from that guy. I never said that. Blah, 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 blah. That's how you end up living in a world where the onus is on us to prove to them that we're supposed to have freedom, and most of us don't have the resources to do so, and it takes years before you get it in front of a judge. Like, think about it. If you were a nurse and then someone told you that you had to get this thing, and what was the process by which you were able to undo that? Or if you were Twitter and you wanted to not just send the files over to the FBI, now you got to go to court and prove to them. I'm just saying, we got to throw this back on them. The other one is just right into the Constitution that the government's not allowed to run a deficit. Anything that they want to pay for, it's got to be in the budget. They tax us enough money. Let's not borrow from previous generations. That leaves them with always an incentive to borrow from the future because it's going to be someone else's problem. You do those two things, we could have a working government once again. I've had some other ideas that were pretty good. I was trying to build a website where we would start keeping score, letting people know just how many topics these people got wrong. Twitter's been doing a better job of that, where every once in a while someone says something and they create a montage of every single time that they said the other thing. That happened with COVID vaccines, right? Here's another one that I think we should do. We should start going after these deep state individuals. You have these unelected officials making big decisions, talking a big game, kind of your Faucis. But you got your Faucis in all sorts of different groups of government. So I'm saying we got to go after more of the Faucis. So in this case, the other day, sitting in the hotel lobby, I'm listening to Blinken. He's giving a speech. And his big point when it came to Ukraine was that we need to defend borders. Because if we don't defend borders, and we live in a new world where governments can just cross into other countries and take their stuff when we don't have respect for borders, then the entire world is going to fall apart. And so that this needs to be a red line that everybody in America is on board with, that Russia violated a sacred border, and therefore everyone's got to get on board. And I just want to point out, firstly, isn't that rich when we don't have a protected border between us and Mexico to hear all sorts of border talk and propaganda? I mean, if we're going to be investing money in calling borders fucking sacred and that they can't be violated, well then why don't we invest the money into a wall at our border? That's one. Two is, I mean, so what do you describe Iraq, Afghanistan, and all the other wars that we've been involved in? We've been running around the globe fucking trying to fight everybody. Russia and China, they kept to them fucking selves. They didn't get out there and start yelling, hey, everyone's got to start, we need every single government on board against the United States because they're out there kicking over other countries. So I'm just saying, we ain't supporting Putin over here. We ain't saying what he's doing good. We are saying that America provoked it and is purposely trying to throw as much Ukrainian death at this while pretending like we're on the side of humanity, and that their newest argument in trying to get out there and serve up some rich propaganda to the American people to try and get them feel bad for the Ukrainians that we're purposely involving into this fight so that they die. So while being grossly inhumane, it's the same thing as shoving something up someone's ass and saying, hey, we're doing this for your own health. We're out there trying to rally the support of the American people. And so the newest claim is, well, think about the chaos that would exist in the world if we didn't do more to defend random borders while our borders just open. That's their newest and richest claim. And of course, you got Janet Yellen going over there. There's another deep state person. That's what newspapers should just be filled with every single day, is what these fucking deep state behind the scenes people are doing, the meetings that they're having, the dumb arguments that they have, the actual corporate interest that's backing them, and the influence that they have. All right. So she's over there now because, it's all the money that should be staying here going over there. So I guess she's got to go visit it. I had a little note here for myself, which isn't bad. If you guys can go find that Blinken face, I described him that he had a little evil bunny foo-foo face. He's like up there. He's got like the fucking Jew-rat thing, the teeth out. He even talks with his hands forward. Oh, all right. Yeah, more randoms. This is what happens when you're on the road all weekend. So, we're coming at you with some randoms here. I watched this debate on if media should be trusted. It is a worthwhile watch. I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I just want to comment. My feet are fucking freezing because right before the show, I spilled water on my floor. And I don't have the heat on because I don't really like heat, and now my feet are freezing. Also, if you see, I got the blanket. I was sleeping on the couch because sometimes I like pretending like I have a girlfriend and then I'm in a fight with her. So then I'll sleep on the couch just so everyone. Why do I gotta miss out on fights with girlfriends just because I'm single and living alone in a nice quiet apartment where I don't have to have drama like that? So every once in a while, I'll just pretend like I'm living that drama, and then I sleep pretty good on the couch, knowing like as if I just had a full fight with someone, and now I'm exhausted. All right, that was we just got heavily distracted there. Debate on if media should be trusted. It's a worthwhile watch. You got Matt Taibbi. You have some other dude. I don't even remember what his name was, and he's going against that guy who wrote Malcolm Gladwell, who couldn't be more of a liberal fucking cunt. Oh my God. You want to talk about just a dude with the smugness of how dare you? I'm the credentialed person that the system has chosen, and so you and we shouldn't even be breathing the same air, and if anything, you should be kissing my ass because of all the prior credentials that I have and just acknowledging that I'm right and apologizing. And right off the bat, he just goes, well, clearly, because of what you said, you're a racist. Someone makes an argument, and he just goes right to, well, if you're going to be obsessed about the media of the 1950s, it's because it just catered to white people. And so isn't it curious that you would live in a world where everything's revolving blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. The other thing that I just thought was funnier was that the core argument of the lady from the New York Times was the claim that, yes, while it came to COVID, we got a lot of things wrong. We were closer to the truth. That was the condensed. You guys can go check out this debate. But I just enjoyed the argument that the New York Times was closer to the truth for two reasons. One, I don't believe they were. I believe if you probably went through the track record of everything the New York Times said in regards to COVID, and you compared that to everything that I said, they probably weren't even closer to the truth. But if the premise is, should mainstream media be trusted, and your argument is, well, we at least come closer to the truth, haven't you just admitted no, because you're not just giving people gospel and truth? And so therefore you would have to have some critical reasoning skills, because closer to the truth is an admission that, one, you're not giving people truth, and that there's some amount of information that's wrong. And so if you're already saying that there's some amount of information that's wrong, you're saying that people need to use their critical reasoning skills, and they shouldn't just trust what's being said as being well-researched, fact-checked, or otherwise. I just thought that it was interesting that the best that the New York Times lady could come up with was, well, yes, it's all bullshit, but our bullshit's degrees close to the... You're no longer in the category of standing by your words or even being in the realm of truth. If the best that you claim that you can make is, well, our bullshit's closer to... How do you even quantify closer to the truth? And like I said here, that's why you come here. I don't claim that it's all accurate, but I claim to be giving you the most interesting version of the bullshit. So if everyone's going to admit that it's just bullshit, you might as well get the most interesting version of it. What else we got? Oh, do you guys see the demon lady on the Trump grand jury? I don't quite understand the way grand juries work. A friend of mine yesterday explained it to me that it's basically a pre-trial for prosecutors. For prosecutors, they don't like losing things. So they present all the evidence to basically a mock jury, and then they see if the mock jury would make a recommendation about whether or not to actually give a guilty charge. And then if that happens, then they move forward. I think it's also probably kind of a fail-safe for prosecutors to pretend like they it's not just them and them just being out there sniffing for blood. It's actually a grand jury approved to then move forward with the trial. And so in this case, you got this lady, and she's talking shit about how badly she wanted to indict Trump, and this lady comes off fucking insane. She's exactly the lady that at like 2 in the morning, if you were hammered and you start a conversation with at the bar, you'd be like, oh, I'm kind of gelling with this lady and she's kind of cute. And then she would let off that fucking demonic laugh a couple times. You'd be like, this isn't a good idea. And then you'd go over to her home and you'd be like, oh, did you leave out soup? And she goes, no, that's a potion for your soul. Ha 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 ha. And you'd be like, all right, that's a little bit weird. And then you go to the bed and you'd see like all sorts of like, you'd be like, oh, is this supposed to be like a romantic thing that you left out leaves? And she goes, no, that's part of the soup. You'd be like, oh my God, this is not a lady that I should be hanging out with. You probably still sleep with her. You just try and make it quicker and get out the door. But then you'd be afraid. Maybe getting out the door is what gets your soul trapped. You had to actually stay for a certain amount of time. I don't want to end up in this lady's spell. And then, by the way, you look at her social media presence. She actually has spells up there. Are witches real? Is that what's going on? Is everything that we've ever heard about the global elites and the fact that they're working with demonic powers actually accurate? And one of their demon people got into this grand jury trying to prosecute Trump, who if he could just gotten back into office, could have gotten the pedophiles out of Washington? Like I said, the best bullshit, everybody. So anyways, you got this lady, and she clearly is not a great representation of the American people. If you were trying to get people together to make a reasonable and important decision, this is the last lady that you, like, if you were on the PTA and then this lady joined the PTA, you'd be like, fuck, we have to incorporate this lady's opinions. I mean, you could talk to this lady for 10 seconds and then go, okay, this lady is psychotic. I don't want to have her opinion on anything. And then the fact that you have any sort of an important process in any capacity that's going to be making a decision with any impact on anyone's life, I would not want this woman making an evaluation if we were going to have 2% or 1% milk in a school. I would be convinced that however she came to her conclusion, it was somehow nefarious and going to actually hurt the kid. Like, she's the one that would go, hey, listen, instead of 2% or 1%, why don't we have spoiled milk? Because spoiled milk is closer to yogurt, and once it becomes yogurt, that's when it's got the good bacteria in it. So if we can't afford good, wholesome yogurt for the kids, what we need is to get spoiled milk. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2, but you'd be like, we're not having a conversation about spoiled milk here, but that's the way it goes with stupid people. I mean, the ideas that they come up with. And so we've got a lady who's clearly fucking insane, and yet she's the one that they, I guess, put in charge about looking at all the evidence, about making a decision about whether or not they're going to move forward with a Trump prosecution. And then here's the great part. So she ends up on the news, and everyone's like, why the fuck is this lady on the news? This lady is going to blow up the spot of this investigation. And I look at it the other way, where I'm like, if you've got fucking lunatics like this making important decisions, shouldn't we know about that? Why is the result, like, the takeaway from the news always like, oh, this information should be hidden because it doesn't make our systems look good? Well, if the systems aren't good, shouldn't we expose that so we fix it? Why is it always that we should just hide broken systems so that broken systems can continue? All right, what else I got here? COVID turnarounds. We had some big stories last week. First, the Energy Department came out and said that natural immunity. Oh, no. What did they say? They said that it was actually a lab leak, which I don't know. Well, why the fuck does that matter? Why is that news that the Energy Department, a department I never heard about, which doesn't sound like the Science Department, it doesn't sound like the NIH, is making a low-confidence decision about the fact that this is 3 years later? I mean, basically every single piece of conspiracy information that platforms like this took you off of because, hey, you can't question the science have basically all been validated. The conversation that needs to be had now is why is it that information that was accurate was censored 3 years ago? It doesn't matter that it's changing now. The question now needs to be, why was the information censored 3 years ago? Who is being held responsible for bad decisions being made off of clearly wrong information? These were smart people who were lying to us. Who is going to be held responsible? That needs to be the conversation that's being had. Who is being held responsible for this, and what protections are we going to be putting in place so that moving forward, the better information is not censored? Because that's what happened. People were lying to us. They censored every piece of information as going, hey, you're not following the science, and it all turned out to be lies. They couldn't have said it with bolder faces, hey, you're not allowed to be on this platform questioning the science. And then every fucking thing that they said turned out to be an absolute lie. So what are we doing to hold these motherfuckers responsible? That should be the conversation. This conversation should be the Energy Department coming out 2 years later, and who cares if it's the Energy Department? So why isn't the NIH done it? Why isn't anyone being held responsible? And what fail-safes are we going to be starting to put in place so that when people at the outset of this, like your Sam Parkers of the world, go, hey, this is coming from a lab, the information that's right isn't instantly being stripped from social media. That needs to be the conversation that's being had. Furthermore, you had the Lancet came out finally addressing natural immunity. I mean, the fact that they denied the fact that if you got sick, you were better protected, what can better showcase that there is an agenda? And that was a common sense thing from the outset of this. When they started telling nurses that had been on the front lines and clearly exposed to this that they had to get a vaccine or they couldn't work their jobs, and everyone's like, well, what about the natural immunity? And you would get in trouble for saying that because you'd be questioning the science. And now finally, years later, they go, oh, yeah, that does work better. Yeah, we were wrong. That definitely works better. And so that's not enough. It's not enough for it just to come out and go, oh, yeah, we got that one wrong. Well, then, where's the fucking commissions that go, well, how did they get that wrong? Because we all know how they got it wrong. They were lying to us. So why were they lying to us? Are we going to look into that? Are we going to look into what kind of corporate interests corrupted our system that we were being lied to? And then why the fail-safes of free speech and people able to just go, hey, that doesn't make sense. Wasn't allowed to exist on the internet? All right, enough on that topic. Here's a fun one. This was from Zero Hedge today. $200 million of equipment was just sold for $500,000. And it was basically just sold off as scraps. Remember how they were talking about hospitals being overrun and we need all this equipment in New York City? So apparently they went on a $200 million spending free, and now I guess the hospitals, the free equipment that we ordered for them, they can't hold on to it because in case that there's a next pandemic, we don't want to have this shit on hand. Remember, I guess if there was anything that should have been learned, it's that hospitals probably need to have more capacity than just what's available on a daily basis, or private companies should be able to create emergency hospital, because think about the profits that might exist in that emergency. Because remember, hospitals are going to be overrun. And instead of going the other way and going, hey, we better prepare for the next time that this thing might happen so we don't have to shut down economies on the basis that hospitals might be overrun, we instead of having conversations about expanding hospitals, the $200 million of equipment that was purchased for New York City is now being scrapped for just $500,000. You can go catch that from Zero Hedge. I do prefer when I link in the articles so that you guys know that I'm not just fucking fabricating this shit, but, I was on the road over the weekend, and this was supposed to be done last night. All right, here, even more bullshit. But before I get into this bullshit, if you feel like you're not as excited about the media and the way that they're lying to us and all these little fabricating, weaving stories of complete and utter total nonsense that's coming from them, you know why? It's because you haven't taken yourself enough Yo Deltas. And I want to help you out with that problem. You go to YoDelta.com, use promo code RYM, or it might be FIRE. I should check that. You're going to get yourself 20% off. And you can take yourself some gummies and fucking go to the moon and then pass out real early. Or you can get yourself a nice little vape pen. And you can just, if you don't have a job that would be dangerous to do this at, and you're over the age of 21, you hit that vape pen, no one's going to know it. You ain't going to smell like it. You ain't going to be overwhelmingly stoned. You're just going to sit there and be like, I don't hate having to be at this job pretending like I'm working. And that's pretty good. What could be better than that? So go to YoDelta.com, use promo code RYM or FIRE. You get yourself 20% off. You get yourself a big old bag of gummies, It's all the weed you'll ever need for your whole life. You get one of those bigger size bag of gummies, you're going to be set for a long time. All right, let's continue. We got Sidney Powell's ethic case got thrown out. I think it was in Texas. You remember Sidney Powell? She's the Kraken lady. She's out there going, hey, we've got these Dominion voting machines. They are changing votes, and I've got the Kraken. And she was, we can tell a psychotic lady. We could just tell right off the bat, this is another one of those PTA bitches that you don't want to have to be making any decisions for you in any capacity whatsoever. But she's out there, and she's making lunacy claims. And then the media's got to address the lunacy claims. And you'd think at some point, I guess if you're totally outside the realm of what is supposed to be allowed to happen for you within the legal profession, you might actually get some trouble for it. But it got thrown out. She'll just be able to continue acting like a lawyer. At the same time, I would think that would probably hurt the Dominion lawsuit against Fox News, because I said this on a previous episode, if the president's bringing a lawsuit, even if it turns out not to be true, it would be news to report that lawsuit. And if this lady, who's a lawyer, was actually bringing a claim, they're reporting on the claim, and she isn't even being in trouble for making a fraudulent claim, I don't think you're going to be able to hold Fox News accountable. But I think what's most interesting to me is just the extent by which you can throw total bullshit out into the ecosphere and nothing ever gets proved right or wrong, or no one's ever found to be in trouble. So, you might as well just get out there, make the biggest, boldest bullshit claim you can. That's how your information rises to the top, and it doesn't matter how wrong you are. It doesn't even matter. All right, we only got a couple more topics left. Forgiving student debt. That's a big Supreme Court case going on this week. I don't have much to say other than I don't even want to talk about that one. Last topic, products for assholes by assholes. So what I mean by that is some of us, you're never going to make the best decisions. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, I guess it would be better if I washed dishes. I'd probably save money. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to wash dishes. And do I really want to be living in an apartment that always has a filled sink, always smells like fucking rot, where I got to go out for every single meal because I don't want to do the dishes? At some point, you just realize, all right, I'm not a guy who's going to do my dishes, and so you buy plastic and paper plates. Is that the ideal? No. But guess what? You don't end up with fucking rot in your apartment. It just works better. So products by assholes for assholes are the ones where instead of pretending like we're better or more disciplined than we actually are, we just accept our flaws as a human being, and we design like, for example, sometimes I talk to my accountant, and he wants me to be more disciplined, call up the bank, get this fee taken care of, and then I need the information. And it's like, I don't care. I just want it done. Fine, so I didn't get the maximum, but let's just get it done. That's what I mean by products for assholes by assholes. It's just a little bit more convenient. We understand that it's not the absolute best option, but we also understand that we're never going to actually go with the best option because that's not the way we're wired. All right? Can I think of other examples? No, maybe if I brought it up at the top of the show. But I read about electric vehicles, and I think about the way, like, I actually, in my film production, I tape the live podcast. I'm going to point out, I actually don't even like rechargeable batteries on the items that I'm using for podcasts, because I'd rather spend the money on batteries than spend hours in an apartment charging things, trying to make sure that things are charged. You know how often my phone isn't charged? How often I got to go find a charger? How often I've overcharged phones, used the wrong charger on a phone, now the phone's not working? I feel like when it comes to gas cars, shitty I treat my gas cars, and I got 110,000 miles on my Subaru right now. The goal is I want to get it to 200,000. I'm a fucking road comic for life. Honk, honk. By the way, coming up after this, if you're listening to this, you can go check out, I talked to Reed Coverdale. We were talking about trucker life, being out on the road. And if you're listening to the podcast, that's going to be the second half, because I'm going to combine them. And, all right. So anyways, continuing with products for assholes by assholes, is that electric vehicles sound to me like we've got a perfectly good working system of gas cars. You get in your car, you very rarely end up in a situation where you can't find gas. Every once in a while, you get a little bit concerned of, I didn't fill up at the last rest stop, and I'm down on the thing. You have your Kramer moment where you wanted to push it because you were flowing, you were in the zone. You're like, I don't want to be pulling off the highway right now. I can make it one more stop. And you're like, maybe that was a bad decision, but it's pretty rare. I've driven all over this country. It's pretty rare that you're not within 10, 15 miles of a gas station. There's always gas available. takes you a couple minutes to fill up, you get yourself some snacks, and you're back on the road. Who wants to spend hours having to pull over, charging their thing, and then you push it too far, you end up ruining your entire vehicle, it ends up too cold out, you don't quite have the math right on how far you can go, and then you might even overcharge the thing. It just sounds to me like we've got a perfectly good working system with gas vehicles that could be improved upon, and now we're going to invest billions of dollars in infrastructure to accommodate electric vehicles that a lot of us aren't going to be able to afford, aren't going to be practical, and then we're going to end up in a situation where we're just basically renting time from wealthier individuals. So it's going to be, you know, how many things have become already within my lifetime where I look at it like as an old man. Back in my day, I wish I remembered more of the things my grandfather, because I was always like, technology gets better, you fucking old man. What are you talking about? Wait, it was really back in your... But now I see it. It's like every time I walk into a restaurant and I can't just have a menu. Just give me a menu. I don't want to have to go to your QR code to then have to download an app to then look and see whether or not I want your chicken wings or your hamburgers. Just put the fucking menu down on the table. We've done it for 100 years in this country. It was a perfectly working system. I don't want to have to go through my phone to then go to your website to then click on another link and then you look at me like this was a more convenient and better system. Or here's another one. I know I've ranted about this before. I used to love channel surfing. You know what ruined cable television more than anything else? You can't channel surf. It used to be you click the button, the channel changed. Then I can remember channel 17 is Comedy Central, channel 34 is this. I get the commercials from FX are lining up that when Comedy Central goes to commercial, and then you could go back and forth. You could watch 10 minutes of this show, 5 minutes of this show. It was a good old time. You can't do that anymore because it blinks. There's like a 4-second delay, or maybe it's a 2-second delay. Maybe I got so much ADD, it's only a half a second delay, but it ruins the experience to me where I go to the channel and then I gotta wait. And then you sound like a crazy person where you're like, back in my day, you just had a channel and things changed quickly. And you know how much better this was? But now they got their fancier boxes, their descriptions, everything has more loading time, and all of a sudden watching television isn't even fun anymore. The most simple and lazy thing that ever existed of sitting your ass down on a hotel bed and channel surfing and realizing that there was nothing on before you went to sleep is now more difficult because they got a smart television where you can log into your Netflix, you can log into your HBO, you got 40 different options, you got a channel guide, everything's on delay and it isn't fun. Well, just wait till that happens with fucking cars. Where like back in my day, you could just show up to a gas station, fill up a car, and get back on the road. You didn't have to wait 4 hours to charge something. We're all going to be saying it. All right. Did I have anything else left, or is that our episode for today? Nope. That was the questions. All right. We did it, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Another episode of the Run Your Mouth podcast. Like I said, we're trying to keep the schedule to Mondays and Wednesdays and possibly Fridays when I'm not on the road. This week was already messed up because I did 40 minutes yesterday without any sound. So hopefully we'll be back tomorrow, even if it's a shorter episode. Thanks as always for hanging out, and show up on my Wednesday show. Trying to build a bit of a scene in New York City. This week I booked Zach Amico. I got myself. I got Howie Dewey. I got JJ Lieberman. Probably one more comic. So come out, come hang out. It's actually probably the most casual place to see me do comedy. I work on new stuff. We hang out. We drink upstairs. It's a pretty relaxed and fun environment. Great room, great acoustics, and some of my favorite comics. I get to hang out in the back and watch them, play around, work on some new stuff, watch them hit the bangers. It's a good old time. That is our show. Have a great day, everybody. Peace. It's over. Might take a minute to actually end.